So hello and welcome to the Game Week 18 preview. We are mid-game week in Game Week 17. We think we've got two fixtures left this evening, obviously with the Spurs and Leicester game being called off. So yeah, 2 games left this evening. If you're not all aware, COVID is playing havoc in the terms of FPL at the moment. Mindy's putting his poor score down to that, but there's other things at play that affects Mindy's thought process. So it just an extra that's causing confusion with Mindy's team selection. But nevertheless, we're here for review this game week, but also preview next game week, and hopefully guide you through Christmas and also the uncertainty around the situation at the moment.
I just want to apologise in advance to everyone for the poor taste of Callum's YouTube graphic as well. I personally don't condone or endorse said behaviour.
Well, it wasn't a jibe. It was just to reflect the current situation.
I mean, you'll be at the cheese and wine parties next with that level of respect.
The hilarious BBC employee taking the moral high ground.
What was I going to say? I tried to go for my booster at your gaff before. Yeah, he had two-hour queue, even though I had an appointment, so I couldn't get it in the end. I would have missed the start of my shift, and it was a nightmare.
I think I saw you actually at the Etihad. Were you the one with the anti-vax sign at the back of the queue?
I've never seen so many people at the Etihad. I think that's why they were struggling to get through everyone. They just weren't used to having that many people there.
Is that the new advice now? Stay at home unless you need to go on a packed queue for a booster jab.
Have you you won't be eligible for yours yet, will you? Because you're under 30. Or can you get one?
All time with me, mate. No, it's 6 months, isn't it? But yeah, without going, this podcast is quickly taken over by the vaccine. But yeah, no, not ready yet.
Well, I mean, it's not really. We're sort of taking it a fast and loose approach to the stream this week, a bit more unstructured, just because. I mean, we could have done a carefully structured running order and put a lot of time and effort and thought into it, like we do every week. But the fixtures are just dropping like flies, so there's no real point in having a big plan. We're just going to sort of loosely talk through some stuff. But yeah, we'll get to the FPL. Should we crack on with some admin, follow, subscribe, all that stuff? The deadline is Saturday this week. I'm not letting you do the deadline this week if you got it wrong last week.
Well, that might not be the deadline if the early kickoff goes.
So hang on, it's just said to me now the Saturday deadline is 1:30.
Oh, there isn't an early kickoff. Interesting, yeah.
Right.
Was United supposed to be the early game?
Oh yeah, United was the early game, so
might push one back. We'll push one forward. Sorry.
So that gives people a bit more time on Saturday. You can have you can have a socially distanced bender now Friday night and do your team Saturday afternoon. Anything else? What else do we usually plug here for social? Follow on Twitter, Instagram. Handle is @premium_FPL. If you're listening live, by any chance, put your comment into the YouTube comments, and Callum will flag them up. Yeah, should we talk about this mental game week? Should we talk about last game week, or should we just focus on the game week we're in the middle of?
Well, yeah, maybe just talk about the one that we're in the middle of. That's what people are here for, aren't they?
Cool.
So we're running through the running order of game week review, ongoing review of this game week. How to handle the COVID chaos, games dropping like flies. Obviously, the importance of having a strong squad we'll go over. A lot of value in midfield at the moment. That's where the points seem to be happening. Big at the back's kind of going away in a sense, but it could easily come back with Chelsea tonight. You don't know, against a depleted Everton team. Strikers review, obviously best of a bad bunch, but Watkins did deliver, those who had him Tuesday night. And then, yeah, not just COVID that you got to worry about. Firmino being back, the yellow cards, players on 4 yellow cards, and then also AFCON, which is rumours that it might or might not be happening. So, yeah, one to keep an eye on.
Cool, yeah, a bit of stuff to get through then. I'll let you talk through your game week first. I need to prepare myself before I talk about mine.
Yeah, so I've actually had a good game week so far. Unless Alonso and Rudiger. Well, Rudiger will probably get his two assists for pens that he gets.
You
now.
brought in Foden and Watkins. Were they your transfers this week?
Yeah. Have you only just seen this? So
yeah.
I think I was so keen to get the podcast on. So yeah, 38 points, closes the gap to Mindy. I think it's about 18 now, 18 points. I think it last look. So yeah, transfers in this week. Watkins in for Ronaldo, and then Basuma out, Foden in. So yeah, transfers paid off big time this week. It's funny, not to rub it in even further, but before the United game was called off, I was set on doing Gundogan to Bernardo Silva, so that actually has helped me big time. Saw your eye roll there. But yeah, other than that, obviously Ramsdale now, clean sheet that he always gets. Livramento actually needed to play him, got nothing. But then Gundogan, Foden, obviously the Watford game's off, so Bowen's coming in for 2 points. So yeah, I'm currently on 40 points with Salah, Jota, Trent, and James to go. Inside the top 400k now, I think for the first time this season. So onwards.
You know what's a bloody joke about this? So I was feeling quite, well, not smug, but like I was content with my decision not to have got Ronaldo, because my thought process was, I'll get a stronger bench, I'll spread the money around. So that was why I got Bernardo. But then all the people who went for Ronaldo, they then downgraded into Watkins and used the money to get Foden. That's what like a lot of people have done. They've upgraded their fifth mid to Foden or something like that. So yeah, in the end, I think people who went for Ronaldo, if they've made those sort of transfers, they're the winners of this game week. So yeah, a little mention to Josh in our mini league. He claims he was going to bring in Watkins and Foden and transfer out Ronaldo, but apparently he was at choir, which is an interesting. I've not heard that excuse before. It was IKEA last season when he missed the deadline. This year it's the choir.
It's a killer that is obviously United Brentford off next week as well, so he's gonna have to get him out anyway. So yeah, that's unfortunate. Move on to your great score. So you want to run through it?
I'm currently on the total score of 14 points, which is actually quite. I'm actually quite pleased with that now, considering what I was on before Smith Rowe scored last night. Yeah, there's not really a lot for me to write home about with my game week. Like you said last night, I need Mount to save my game week like he's done in some other weeks. Obviously, Watford not having a game has hurt my forward line. Bernardo getting 1 point in the 7-0. As the community have been saying, he's done a Havertz when Chelsea won 7-0 and he got 1 point. So I've been introduced to that world of pain. It's an interesting one. We need to talk about that later. Like, what is the City midfielder to get? I don't know.
Changes every week. It's pointless.
It's pointless moving, isn't it?
But obviously, after Tuesday, Foden was unbelievable that game. I was there. De Bruyne was great too. Those two were the best. Obviously, De Bruyne stopped start the season, so probably still wouldn't go there. But yeah, Foden was electric. Could have got a lot more points.
So I had Foden when he looked like the one to get a couple of months ago.
Yeah, and then niggles.
And then he blanked 3 times and then got the niggles. And then Rafinha, I sold, then starts like scoring directly from crosses and scoring pens all over the gap. And a similar thing with bloody Rudiger. So Reece James, what did he get? Like 50 points in 3 weeks. So I got him in for Rudiger. And then Reece James has got 1 point in the next 4 games. And Rudiger's now playing like Ramos, like winning. He's won 3 pens since I sold him. And then you're telling me I'm on a lucky run. I don't know how I'm on a lucky run.
Maybe if you didn't have Mason Mount, you'd be in the doldrums. Yeah, I'll be very surprised if he doesn't at least get a goal this evening. It's just that he's just saved you on many occasions. He's like your Ronaldo in Champions League.
Comes up clutch in the last minute. Well, yeah, that would be very well. Anything from Alonso would be good as well, because yeah, he was another one who another player I brought in recently that's not been a great transfer. Probably looking to get rid
Who have you
soon.
got coming in for King?
I was going to say Lord Liv, but he's not a Lord anymore. I think his stock has fallen. Just Livermento.
Blank Liv. Blankety blank now, isn't it?
Yeah, we were saying last week, weren't we, that he's sort of not really a great option anymore, because in the COVID state of play, you're often going to need that bench player to come on, and he's not really a strong enough option with Southampton's goalkeeping and defence situation to rely on. So yeah, something to if you've not, everyone's got something to do with their transfers, I'm sure, but if you've not, Livermento to someone better is worth doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of defenders at that price point. We'll just quickly run over to the games so far that have fallen fate to COVID. So obviously Brighton, Tottenham, and then which was last weekend, and then Brentford, United, Burnley, Watford, Leicester, Tottenham, which is this evening, and then Man United, Brighton was the first to go this weekend. But no doubt there'll be more to come, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's just one to keep an eye on.
So just looking at this now, would you we don't really know how quickly these will be rescheduled, but would the inevitable double game weeks for these teams sway you in transfers now?
Yeah, you just don't know how quick the double is going to come, do you? Like, I think previous seasons they tend to fall quite late in the season. I remember last year, I think that's just because when the spare game weeks are, because obviously midweek fixtures now in Premier League, and then the FA Cup comes, then the Champions League comes. So yeah, I remember last season the doubles tended to come quite late in the season, didn't they? So it'd be interesting to see what happens here.
I should know this as a United fan, but I don't think we're in the League Cup anymore. And are Tottenham still in it? Because I'm just thinking, when the teams that are still in the League Cup play those games, they might just look to, if United and Tottenham aren't in that cup anymore, they could just put them in there in that week.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, won't it? I think Tottenham's probably a priority, isn't it, for the Premier League, because they're 3 games behind now. So yeah. If they leave it too late, they might struggle to get them as others in.
So I'm pretty sure I think West Ham knocked us out of the League Cup. So yeah, these might roll around sooner than normal, if because you'd imagine they want to catch up as soon as possible with like what's going on. But yeah, something to think about.
The big thing for me now is 14 players definitely you want playing first team for their clubs, and then obviously my second goalkeeper isn't playing at the moment. Whether you've got the luxury of having 2 playing goalkeepers, don't you? So that's probably the only position where you might be able to just hope that your keeper plays. But I say the rest of them, like, definitely, obviously you're talking about moving Livermento on when you can. Just make sure that you'd be happy to start them every week now. I think that's probably the best advice I can give.
Yeah, especially as it looks like the Premier League are just going to roll with these punches. They're not looking to put a break in at the moment. So they said at the start of the week there's a new testing regimen to try and stem these outbreaks, moving back to daily tests and all that stuff, and training separately, etc. So yeah, I think it's just going to be inevitable that certain players are going to be out without warning some weeks, and games dropping here and there. Hopefully it's one of those cases where if you've been hit by it badly, it evens out over the season, as they say. But yeah, it's a shame that it's come like this, but yeah, we can't really do anything about it. So we've got some other things to talk about, haven't we, for how to handle COVID chaos? Should we talking about that here?
Yeah, no, we can talk about it here in this section.
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah, go on, you go.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this just before we came on, like with my team, but I think general advice would be try not to have 3 players from one team wherever possible. Well, obviously, with Liverpool, you're not going to get rid of Jota or Trent or whatever, but if you've already got 3 players from some teams, I wouldn't be doing that elsewhere, because then if a fixture gets called off, you could be down 6 players. Like last week, people who had like Tony or Mbomo and Ronaldo and a United player, like you're a bit screwed then, because even if you've got decent bench options, it's not enough to cover the missing players. So that's something to think about. And then
I probably add City to that as well, like in terms of free players. I won't be afraid to go for free City, because obviously City and Liverpool aren't going to play each other now until like March time. So yeah, I don't think I'd be put off City free, but yeah, certainly the rest of the league, I wouldn't go 3 players.
Yeah, and what was the other thing? Oh, so most people know this, but don't have your vice and your captain set in the same game. But yeah, I wouldn't have them on the same day now either. Like, I know a lot of people on Tuesday were setting the vice captain to a game that night because they weren't sure if the games on Wednesday and Thursday were going to go ahead. And I think that's probably a good idea. It's not worked out so well for me, because if Salah doesn't play tonight, then my vice captain is Bernardo, because I've sort of followed that logic. But yeah, other people might have their vice on Foden or Watkins or something like that. Who's your vice on?
Jota. I just had a look. I didn't realise.
But I've
got away with it. Yeah, I've got away with it.
Liverpool game's on. So
definitely want to think of going forward.
Is there anything else you'd say to people for being COVID aware?
Just be clever with it, I'd say. Obviously, people, the first kind of reaction is like outrage and stuff like that. Like, oh, I can't believe. But just be clever with your planning. Obviously, if a team's affected by COVID, don't bring a player of that team in. This is quite easy. Or look at the fixtures of the next 2 of who they're playing and don't bring them in. That is kind of obvious advice. But yeah, just be clever with the situation and kind of, yeah, just be mindful of what's going on and kind of plan accordingly, really. Obviously, you can't plan a new outbreak coming, but ones that are happening now with Burnley, Leicester, like look at those fixtures over the next 2, 3, because normally Burnley is a fixture that you target, but have that in the back of your mind, like that game might not be on.
Yeah, I guess the other thing to mention here, we're going to talk about all the players on it later, but don't fill your bench with players who might be getting a yellow card soon as well, because then you're trying to plan, but you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot. So yeah, I'd check that as well. Check the amnesty table. But yeah, I think that's everything really. Should we?
One man who will end this section on a lighter note. One man who has taken advantage of, well, not just COVID really, but he's played a free hit. Maybe his team was highly affected by COVID. He might have had Ronaldo and stuff. This was actually from Wednesday morning. That sent this, and this guy has gone from 31,000 to 171st in the world. Since then, obviously Vardy's not playing, but Zaha's coming in. Zaha's scored as well, so he might even be even higher than this. So yeah, this has brought a smile to the face just seeing this. Obviously Martinez, Mings, and then De Bruyne is his captain, Foden, Mahrez. So yeah, this is obviously a guy who
guy or girl, we don't know.
Guy or girl, yeah, took by the scruff of the neck this game, and yeah, just gone for it. Avoided Salah, which might put him back down to 31,000 if he gets a hat trick this evening. But yeah, for now it's paid off, and yeah, fair play to him or her.
Yeah, so the rank rise was from 31k to
171st, which is incredible. Wow. And he's got Zaha as well, so I don't know if he's actually gone up even more after last night.
Yeah, I mean it's something that most of us don't consider, because like we use the chips for blank game weeks and double game weeks and all that stuff, but every season there's a story like this, isn't there, where someone uses it in a different time and absolutely smashes it. So yeah, fair play.
I'm convinced he must have not had the City team early. Look at that, De Bruyne, Foden, and Mahrez all started. It's a bit dodgy.
He must be one of the decent employees at City who has good contacts and good knowledge. If only we had someone at Premium Player who could.
Yeah. Even if I did get the team early, I won't be telling you. That's for sure.
Right.
we'll move on to the midfielders. We're going to try and keep it short and snappy this week. You wanted to touch on the midfielders, didn't you? And obviously, there's not a lot of going for forwards at the moment, but there's a variety of midfielders, isn't there? Different price points, and these are just the highest scorers since game week 1. Really, obviously, no surprise. Salah, 70-point gap to the next one, but yeah, there's some exciting names bunching up behind him now, isn't there?
So yeah, like just before when I was on WhatsApp with you, and I was just listing out all the midfielders that are scoring points or have got good fixtures coming up or are in decent form. There's just so many that roll off the top of the head. Bowen, Mount, Gallagher, Maddison, Foden, Bernardo, Grealish, Jota, Smith Rowe, Salah, and that's sort of like scraping the surface, really. So I think there'll be a lot of managers wondering like which midfielders to prioritise. So I thought it'd be good if we like maybe ranked our top four. Obviously, the first top one, Salah, until AFCON. But maybe if we like rank second, 2, 3, 4, like who do we think are the best, and like take into account form and fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
So who'd be your second one after Salah?
I'm probably biased because I brought him in this week and he smashed it. But yeah, it did look electric. Probably Foden. Just keep an eye out for any injury news from Pep. But yeah, I think City's fixtures over Christmas are great. And even if he's playing 3 out of 4, I fancy him to score in all of them, really.
Would you, while we're on Foden, would you, like, for all the managers like me who've got Bernardo, would you double?
Yeah, probably. I thought you were going to ask me would I change then, and I would be more reluctant to say that. But yeah, probably would double up.
I mean, we don't actually know. Do you know anything about how serious Bernardo's injury is? Because you didn't.
No, it was interesting after the game because I just thought he brought Bernardo off and then Rodri, who obviously been our 2 best players this season. So I just thought he's done that because that game's in the bag. And it was only after the game where he said a bit of muscle tiredness. Whether he gives him the Newcastle game off, which is next, which wouldn't surprise me because obviously that's an easier game on paper. So I would be concerned as a Bernardo owner with them close, whether he misses that game. But obviously he's still very instrumental to the team. The only issue now is Kev coming back. Bernardo, where he's got most of his joy from, is that right middle side of midfield, and that's obviously where Kevin De Bruyne operates from. So I don't know if that'll affect his position in any way. Which just be interesting. I just think there's more going for Foden now in the favour, other than the ownership. If you're scared of that, obviously Bernardo 31% owned, but yeah, Foden's the one for me for City.
I saw a piece before. I didn't fully read the article. I just saw the headline, but it said that it was like attributed to De Bruyne, saying he's still struggling with recovering from COVID and his injury. He's not fully there, but I don't know how recent that was. So yeah,
I did the interview with him after the game. He said he was pretty much back to his best.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he said it had been a tricky start to the season. He said he's just not got going, but he was back to his best on Tuesday. But Leeds didn't offer much.
Do you think Pep will stop resting him now then? Do you think he'll become first?
It's tricky, isn't it? You can never say with Pep, because on Tuesday I was like, there's no way Sterling's not playing after how he's playing. And then, he dropped out of nowhere. So you just, as much as I like to think that I can guess what Pep's going to do, you just don't know. Foden might not play at the weekend. It's impossible, I think.
Yeah, very tricky. So, right, top 2 are Salah and Foden, and then third would be Jota.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Yeah.
Do you think Firmino, because Klopp said yesterday Firmino's back and he's in contention to play tonight, that muddies the waters a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, bit of a deterrent, isn't it? But I think, did he get 30 minutes at the weekend and he was top non-pen XGI, which is ridiculous. I actually benched him at the weekend, so yeah, when I saw that, I got away with murder, really.
Right, yeah, and I'm the lucky one, apparently. What was I going to say? So yeah, okay, we'll settle.
We're not really offering much here, are we, to Liverpool and City?
I think the other thing, even though Firmino's back, if AFCON goes ahead, it's still like Jota's going to get more game time then anyway. So he's still a good person to keep hold of or to buy. All right, so there's a lot of competition then for this fourth slot. How are we going to decide? What are the names that spring to your mind for the fourth best?
I think at the moment, the way the game is, we can probably say 5, can't we? So let's give it 4 and 5. I just think there's a lot more points in it, and we offer something different then than just offering to Liverpool and City. I'm just going to say my midfielder, so I better not. I do think those fixtures on paper for West Ham are great. Obviously, not offering too much at the moment, so it'd probably be Bowen, and then this one's tricky because Smith Rowe's obviously not been playing. Came on yesterday, didn't he? Got you a goal. Madison's looked good, but the fixtures aren't great.
It isn't great though now that like Martinelli's on form, Odegaard's on form. He can. I think earlier on, Arteta was reluctant to rest Smith Rowe because he was the player he could rely on most weeks, and Odegaard wasn't looking that great. Whereas now, the fact that he can just manage Smith Rowe's minutes, rotate him when he wants, and he's got options there. It does. I don't think Smith Rowe makes it anymore into the top 5.
No. Would you go along with Bowen?
Yeah, I think but Bowen. Does Bowen edge it over Mount for you?
Probably, yeah. Just because we'll talk about it later, but Chelsea are actually bottom of the fixture ticking off for the next 5 game weeks, and West Ham are top. So yeah, I just think play the fixtures.
He still looked better. I was sort of dipping in and out of the Arsenal West Ham game yesterday. He still just looked more lively and more in the game than Antonio, doesn't he? What about Gallagher?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because the game before Everton, where he was brilliant, 2 goals, great goal. The game before that, he played defensive midfield, and then obviously everyone was like, to take him out. And then he scored 2, brilliant. And then last night, I didn't watch the game, but obviously he didn't get a goal and assist. Not sure where he was playing. They've got a nice run now. And
I think what's changed recently is that he doesn't have to do as much defending and play as deep because now Will Hughes has started playing in the last 2 games, and he just sort of sits there and sort of, dictates the possession. He's quite good on the ball, isn't he, Will Hughes? So he's come in, and that's meant that Gallagher can get further forward. But on the flip side, the fact that Will Hughes has come in has meant that he's taken the set pieces. So on the one hand, you've got Gallagher who's able to get into the box more and get into shooting positions, but he's on. I don't think he's on any set pieces now, or not from what I've seen. I've not seen him on anything while Will Hughes has been in the team. So like the assist from the corner the other week went to Will Hughes. But yeah, I do think that if Will Hughes keeps his spot, and then you've got James McArthur to come back, who Gallagher seems to play well with, that does mean that he shouldn't be having to do as much of the defending in midfield, which, yeah, I'd probably still edge it to Bowen on fixtures, but would you maybe put Gallagher 5th as the 5th midfielder?
Yeah, probably. Obviously, you can't disagree with what he's offering. I just, as well as Palace are still playing really well, I just think that midfield is quite susceptible to change depending on result. Say if they have 2 bad games, then he won't be dropped, but he can be pushed further back kind of thing. Whereas you know what you're getting from Bowen, Jota, Foden. They're always going to play attacking positions, whereas a bit of uncertainty around Gallagher. But you can't argue with the points that he's got so far. And yeah, looks great every game.
I guess we'll do a little notable mention category and just drag this on
should
a bit
offer
more.
I suppose Bowen's a bit of a differential, but we should offer up someone else who you think. I think Greenwood is coming into it for United. Obviously, when their games come back, he's probably looked the most exciting.
Well, as the revelation was on the podcast last week from your brother, you don't get any points for pressing, but he's one of the worst in terms of amount of running and amount of pressures in the final third. So
right.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think unless
is he going to be a victim of the Google press? Is he?
The Google press. But
I'm trying to pick out someone who isn't on this list.
Well,
obviously it's easy
so
to go
I was going to mention Rafinha because he's still been delivering, and I wonder if he's taken his last 2 pens with aplomb, whether he might have trumped the pen order. So even when Bamford's back, could Rafinha still be on him? And in 2 weeks, so his next 2 fixtures are Arsenal and Liverpool, which aren't great, but then the fixtures are all right again from game week 20 onwards. Villa, Burnley, West Ham, Newcastle. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, if Rafinha does stay on pens, and he's scored in some of the harder fixtures where you wouldn't expect him to score. So
yeah, watch the game against Chelsea. He obviously scored the pen, but he also had a great opportunity offside. But yeah, he's still ticking over nicely.
I guess one player we've not mentioned is Son.
Yeah, a lot of games now. I think for me with Spurs now, it's probably going to depend on when those games are rescheduled. If the doubles come thick and fast, then people will quickly move back to them, won't they? Maybe not Kane, but Son and the defender.
Yeah, just having a quick scan through the list. Is there anyone else we've not mentioned? Don't think so. I think that's... So would you advise people to go for 5 in midfield now?
Yeah, definitely. 3-5-2 I think is the optimum. It might change. Every time we do this, it changes like week after. But yeah, I just think with Chelsea's tricky run now, and then if you can get ahead before their Club World Cup as well, just have 1 or 2 Chelsea max. And you don't have to completely move around your team, because I think that period where the Club World Cup kind of overlaps with AFCON as well, that could cause some real damage to the team. So yeah, I think I've got Chelsea defender, Trent, and then Cancelo. I think that's the way to play it, and then a power 5. But yeah,
right. So just to recap then, so our top 5 is 1 Salah, 2 Foden, 3 Jota, 4 Bowen, and who was the 5th?
Gallagher,
right. Sweet.
But if I was to go for a City midfielder as 2-2, it probably still would be Bernardo. Could turn to Grealish, but yeah, Bernardo would still.
Cool. All right then. Yep, move on.
This is obviously...
God.
I know we've both stuck with him, but this is from Big Man Backer. Stats around Antonio since his last league goal in game week 9. Obviously, this great run now coming up. I think there's 5 or 6 unbelievable fixtures. But the way it's going, you can see him blanking all of them.
You know what's happened here, don't you? The fact that we both kept marrying him in Snog Marry Avoid, and he's got complacent. His form's dips. He's like the player that gets the bumper contract and then just thinks, you know what, I can just stroll it in. He's like Aubameyang after he got the big contract at Chelsea, Arsenal. Oh, it's really not been good, has it? He's got Norwich though. Now I can't sell him this week. But
the way this is going, people who've kept Antonio, there's going to be a COVID outbreak in one of those camps, isn't there?
Or he'll get his annual injury.
Or Kufal's obviously suspended. Ben Johnson's injured. There's rumours that he played right back against Arsenal last 20. I can't see him starting a game at right back, but yeah, he did actually play the last 20 minutes, I think, against Arsenal at right back. Move Bowen up front. So if that happens, that'd be a real fucking nail in the coffin. But yeah, we'll run through stats. 0.75 shots in the box per game. That's 32nd out strikers. Big chances, 0.00, which is joint last. XG 0.05 per game, 42nd. Key passes 1.256, which is obviously he has had some creative input, just not anything from goal. XGI 0.2, which is 34th, and then West Ham as a whole, their XG has been 1.2 in some tricky fixtures, which is 13th. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see over these next. I'm definitely going to keep him for the next 2, and then if he's still doing nothing, then probably would be a decision to make. But I still think those fixtures are too good to turn down, despite these abysmal stats.
Yeah, inclined.
But how long are we going to say this for?
Yeah, I think it reminds me of my decision to get Kane, like ignoring the fact that he had no form and just going with the fixtures, and that didn't really pay off. but it did for the people who went for Son. So it's a tricky one. Given that he's already in my team, I'm going to keep him, but I wouldn't tell people to buy him now.
I think I'd probably go Bowen, wouldn't you? If you didn't have any West Ham. But all it takes is a goal. Like, you could score against Norwich, it's all rosy again, couldn't it? So,
I think. Are we going to talk about the other striking options now?
We can talk about it here. I haven't got anything prepared.
I just think. I know it seems very obvious, but
knee jerk. I know you're going to say it. Yeah.
The fixtures: Burnley, Chelsea, Leeds, Brentford. Next 4. There's 3 decent fixtures in there. I mean, I'm still looking at Watkins just because. Do you think? I think Gerrard's going to stick with this. Maybe coming
play
off,
really well. Yeah.
And even if Ings does come back in and go up top, Watkins still does well off the left. It's not like Watford where now that King suddenly moved to left back in that game, like Watkins doesn't end up being that deep when he moves out wide. He still gets into the box and his stats stay reasonably similar. So I think Watkins is a great option if you've not already got him. I'm actually thinking about, with the whole thing about having a decent bench player and whatnot, I've got the money to do Dobbin, who's my 4.5 dud on the bench, to Watkins. I should have done it last week.
No brainer.
Should have done it last week, but I just thought I'll save my transfer and don't know why. I obviously look stupid now. But yeah, I think Watkins, and then a rogue shout for. What do you think about Lacazette now that Aubameyang's sort of fallen from grace?
Yeah, we've talked about it in podcasts before, haven't we? We said he always looks good when he plays. He always scores goals. Obviously, he missed his penalty, which bit of a shame last night. But yeah, he's always looked good.
It was an all right pen though, wasn't it? I think it was a good save by the keeper. It wasn't like he sort of fluffed it. It was he'd gone for one of the corners. It was a decent save. I
mean, it takes a lot of balls. I don't think Arsenal's fixtures are too great, but yeah, it's one that could pay off. You could be like Mr. Free Hit. Why don't you go for it?
Yeah. Was anyone else? What's your take on King Dennis now? Because it came out of the blue, didn't it? King moved into left wing or left back, and then Dennis was suddenly the central striker. I saw it yesterday. The Nigeria manager has been sacked. The one who supposedly had fallen out with Dennis, or the one who didn't like Dennis, or whatever.
Well, I seen a couple of days ago that the AFCON might be postponed. Was that just I
think that was fake news.
Fake news, right?
But I wouldn't be surprised if it's still, there's still time, isn't there? Oh, and I've heard somewhere else, I can't remember where, that the pronunciation is Denis. Not Denise, like I said a few weeks ago, but Denis, like Emmanuel Denis.
Why are you so? You're really interested in your pronunciation. Remember when I kept calling him Boo Moo and you were like furious?
Well, I just think if you're completely butchering it and it's not acceptable. Like it was pissing me off so much last night that McManaman kept on calling Masuaka. He was one syllable off calling him a bloody maraca, and the COCOM kept on saying, he kept on saying Masuaku, trying to press the point that it's Masuaku. And then McManaman would just come in 3 times in a row. Yeah, Masuaka's getting overloaded by Saka. I think he liked the rhyming of Saka and Masuaka. But yeah, we should try and get the pronunciation right where we can.
Right.
But anyway, I think I wouldn't move from King. Let's see how it plays out. But if King does stick on the left wing,
I think it takes one more game, doesn't it? If the next game it's role reversal, then I probably would switch if he played well. think it's all down to result.
The other thing that annoyed me about bloody Masuaka, just to go back to that, he's a king in this part of the world, in the premium player sphere. King Masuaka. He was big part of the podcast last year, so it was especially annoying to him at Manman butchering his name. Put some respect on his name, as they say.
Right, are we still going on? Right, okay. Sorry.
No, go on. Let's move on. We had some admin to get through, didn't we?
Yeah. So before this, I've not actually put it on the slide, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, there's another thing to be aware of if COVID's not enough planning around is the 4 yellow cards. So I think players have got 2 more game weeks. So it's the end of game week 19 where it's kind of kiboshed and we go again. I think 10's the next limit, isn't it? But of the players on 4 yellows, I'll read out ones that are interesting from a FPL point of view. There is a lot of players on 4. There's about 40 players on 4 yellow cards, which is one to be aware of. But ones that stand out from an FPL point of view: Bruno Fernandes, Josh Brownhill, Matty Cash, Rafinha, Luca Digne, Conor Gallagher, Ruben Diaz, Reece James, John McGinn, extent, Tyrone Mings, and then Pogba, who's quite irrelevant now, Andrew Robertson, Fred, who's come into a few teams, Luke Shaw, Brandon Williams is a cheap option, and Callum Wilson. They're probably the standout FPL options.
It's mad that Luke Shaw's on 4 yellow. He's not even been playing recently. He's on 4 yellow cards already.
So there is a few there, isn't there?
Obviously, Conor Gallagher, because a lot of people are looking to bring him in. Reece James is annoying for me. That would just top off that transfer for me if he ends up getting a yellow card now. This is a game, because Alonso's one I'm looking to come off. But then if Reece James then gets a yellow, I'd be a bit screwed then. So yeah, that's one to think about.
It's interesting.
I guess we
Rafinha
should.
Is another one. Teams have got a lot of Ruben Diaz. Obviously, people who got City double up is a big one. But yeah, one to be aware of. That probably puts me off Conor Gallagher as an option. Probably that'd probably be enough to sway not bringing him in. But yeah.
Do you remember that season
it's only 2 more game weeks.
Do you remember that season when Diego Costa was on the suspension tightrope for weeks? He was on like 9 yellows, and nobody was getting him in because he's going to get suspended too. And he just rode it out. He just kept scoring every week as well. So yeah, occasionally if you take the risk,
maybe he had him in his own FPL team, trolling people.
I think Mourinho probably had a word with him. He was like, don't get a yellow now. You're gonna miss one. What was the other thing? Oh, just keep an eye on what's going on with AFCON as well. The dates when that is going to fall will play critical to your team planning. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Anything else?
Let's stop as far as don't bring any Africans into your team. We might get misquoted. So yeah, let's stop as far as that.
Well, yeah, I wasn't saying anything remotely close to that. I don't think you needed to give that clarification. I was saying keep an eye on the dates.
No, just saying let's not be quoted on that. So we'll move on to the premium planning segment. Players that we're looking to captain over the next few game weeks. All teams are trying to target. Obviously, COVID. United's game's not been put off here for Brighton, so that'll probably move him down the ticker a bit. Chelsea at the bottom, which I thought was quite interesting. Despite next 3 don't look too difficult, do they? This is obviously after the game against Everton, but it's the last 2, isn't it, that's not kicked them right down.
I wonder if the fact that have they got a blank after that as well because of the Club World Cup? Is that another reason why they're bottom?
Yeah, potentially, but this is only next 5. As you can see there, they're the only team that has to play Liverpool and City, other than Brentford, aren't they? And their fixtures are slightly harder than Brentford's, but I think what really does this fixture difficulty is City and Liverpool, isn't it? That kind of knocks teams down. And
then after that, though, so game week 23, they've got Tottenham, and then
it's the blank. Yeah.
So yeah, I think even if it was the next 7, they'd probably still be bottom.
Yeah, the next 3 don't look too deep, but yeah, one to keep an eye on. I probably wouldn't be looking to bring in any Chelsea players now. I'll probably hold what I've got, and then
I'm going to be gradually looking to phase out. Alonso and Mount from my team as these difficult fixtures start to come around. So you don't have Bowen currently, are you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. So obviously West Ham at the top. I'm looking to make a charge on Mindy, Antonio and Bowen. Obviously, hope Antonio kind of brings it back. Everton's interesting second. I don't know how close Calvert-Lewin is to fitness. Obviously, don't look great at the moment, but Demarai Gray was a popular option at the start of the season. Whether they can get a bit of form back.
Yeah, Calvert-Lewin coming back for this one would be ideal for him, wouldn't it? They've been hit as well by Richarlison being injured now, so yeah, even though they're second in the fixture ticker, I wouldn't be looking to Everton at the moment. Anyone else you're looking to target from the top few?
Well, United was one, wasn't it? We brought Ronaldo and Dalot before the COVID. I wouldn't be bringing it. Obviously, games postponed this weekend, so obviously I'm bringing him. But yeah, it's kind of a shame that the COVID's hit them at that time from an FPL point of view. Watford, Palace, obviously, you won't really touch anyone else other than Gallagher. Tottenham, fixtures after Liverpool, quite nice. Obviously, a few doubles get put in there as well. That's quite an attractive proposition. But yeah, they're probably the ones. And City and Liverpool, despite mid-table, but you still won't be put off them, I don't think.
So, what's your transfer plan this week?
Roll, hopefully. As a guy who loves taking hits, depending on my subs bench at the moment. Well, United was off, wasn't it? But was Josh King, Dalot, and Livramento, which if one of them has to come in, King or Livramento, and Southampton have got Brentford at home this weekend. Obviously, they've been ravaged by COVID as well, and so that my game might not actually go ahead. But yeah, I thought he had a strong bench. Might not even have anyone on the bench, but yeah.
Oh, that's just
probably looked to roll.
We forgot the most important advice before for the COVID planning, which was leave your transfer as late as possible.
Yeah.
Seeing as you've been telling people for 2 years to do early transfers for team value.
Yeah, maybe not now.
Yeah.
I think the Saturday 1 o'clock deadline's great, isn't it, this week, actually, thinking about that.
And my transfers is a bit up in the air. I think Watkins to Dobbin looks like a no-brainer for one of them. If I use two, Dobbin to Watkins, not Watkins to Dobbin.
I was going to say, yeah.
If Bernardo's injured, I might look to move him on to Foden. I don't know. Or
yeah, how much money you got?
I've got 3.6. I didn't get Ronaldo, did I? So I've still got 3.5 million in the bank.
So you could do that. You could do Watkins, Dobbin to Watkins, and thingy to Foden.
I think.
Yeah, yeah. Just keep copying my transfers. That'll do well.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I'm trying to block you, then it makes sense, doesn't it? Or I might bring Bowen in for Mount or Smith Rowe. Depends on if we hear anything from Arteta on whether Smith Rowe is going to come back into the first team or not. It's hard. It's Leeds and Norwich next for Smith Rowe, so I'd kind of want to keep him, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we'll try and tweet Saturday morning what we've done. Yeah, best.
In terms of last one, cap this weekend, obviously depends on how Salah does this evening, but might have a decision to make this weekend. Liverpool, Tottenham, City, Newcastle. Yeah, interesting. Might be tempted by Foden there.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with Salah.
Fucking hell, Mr. Missionary at it again.
The fact that Tottenham are, we're not really sure what shape they're going to be in, do we? If that game goes ahead.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, and if you go for Foden, I mean, what if he gets 10 minutes off the bench or whatever, which could easily happen? That's
yeah. Liven it up a bit, but probably will go Salah. I did go Ronaldo the weekend before, and it kind of paid off, didn't it? But yeah, just about paid off. But yeah, brave call. Yeah, good luck with the game week. The game week that's just going on now. Good luck. We get games tonight, and yeah, hopefully you can come up with a plan this weekend.
Yeah, hang on in there. Don't rage quit because of everything that's going on. I guess people could just look at you for inspiration. Like, look where you were a few weeks ago, and then
I can't wait to overtake you, just so you stop being so smug. I'm coming for you. It won't be long.
Yeah, right. Well, I best get back to work. Actually, I've just clocked the time. So yeah, catch you next week.
Time flies. You're having fun. Right, same.
See ya.